we moved a yard. Blast the sun wind!
We'll make no headway against the sou'easter, sir.
Well, Mr. Baines, where's ship? Bring her round again.
Aye, aye, sir. Stand by to worship! Bend your braces! Bend your braces! Come on, look lively there! Look lively there! Come on!
On the pigs, come! Get up!
Come on, look lively there! Bosun! Level them up there, level them up! Come on! Move, you punch-lit longshore with you! Move! Ease her off, quartermaster! Ease her off!
Thank thee, O Lord, for all thy gracious bounty. Amen.
A ship's been spoke off the point.
I heard the gun. It could be James.
We've a lot to be thankful for. A little shop, comfortable business. Seafaring is no life. I've always said so.
It was James' own choosing.
Ah, well, it's too late for him to change his mind now. Father left the shop to me.
I can't imagine James serving behind a counter.
Exactly. No sense of business, that brother of mine. No sense of business.
Captain Onedin.
Mr. Callan, your servant, sir.
Had a fair passage?
My papers, sir. We left Lisbon 27 days ago, but we've been kept beating to windward of the point for the last 3.
3 days extra pay for every man. Hey, those rascals know what they're about, don't they, eh?
That's a reflection upon my ability and character, sir.
Of course not, Onedin, of course not. I've every confidence in you. One day, mark me well, one day we'll have you master of a Western Ocean packet. That'll suit you better than this Portuguese wine trade, I'll warrant.
Senior Braganza sends his compliments.
Oh,
Begs to remind you that his contract will be due for renewal in 7 weeks' time.
Let's take good care of Senior Braganza. That Portuguese wine shipper is our bread and butter, huh?
You'll take a glass of Jamaica, sir.
Oh, thank you, Captain. You got a full cargo, I see.
Aye. Wine, hides, sheepskins, and oranges from Seville.
Good, good, good. Well, then you'll have earned your bonus.
I think not. I can just smell it. Rotting fruit. She's sprung forward. We've been double manning the pumps since 5 days out.
You mean you sprung her? You've driven her too hard, man.
In your service, sir.
Gee, more expense. An owner's hand is never out of his pocket these days.
Well, below the waterline, she's riddled with worm. I did draw the matter to your attention in my last report.
And knowing this, you still drove her hard.
It required a fast passage.
Gee, what use is a fast passage if you waste time and money hanging around the point for 3 days?
A ship that will drive into the wind is yet to be built.
Don't try and teach me my business, sir. I'll be aboard first thing tomorrow morning. Find out what other damage you've wreaked. Good night to you, Captain.
Good night, Mr. Callan. One day, I'll give you a lesson in business, Mr. Callan.
Oh, James, thank you. It's lovely.
Thank you, James.
Sarah's looking very well.
5 months gone, big as a house.
Congratulations.
Keep still. There.
Is it well?
Very well, lovely.
Well, when did Father die?
A week past.
A stroke.
The 3rd.
It took him in the night. It's a pity you couldn't have arrived sooner.
I doubt I could clip a week of a voyage even to oblige Father. And in the event, I dare say my presence would have hastened rather than hindered matters.
Oh, James.
Well, did you leave much?
Oh, the shop.
To Robert. And a word of advice for you.
Oh?
He said, a man who walks a twisty lane may travel far, but arrive at the same destination in the end.
Well, I spoke a man with little sense of direction.
Robert's worked very hard in the shop, James.
Well, without Father holding you back, you should be able to expand the business now, Robert.
Oh, I'm well satisfied with things as they are.
Well, you shouldn't be. Building ships 200 or more feet in length and clad in iron.
Iron ships?
Aye, 60 men to crew 'em and every man jack to be fed. Acres of sailcloth, miles of cordage. Now's your chance, Robert. Take it.
Ah, the owners would never buy from a little man like me. And how could I afford fancy kickbacks to the masters, eh?
Look, the owners will buy where he can show best profit.
Look, there's a sight more to business than just plain buying and selling. Take my word for it.
Look, I buy, I sell. Now, wherein lies the profit?
In between.
No, Robert. Profit lies with the man who possesses. The owner makes the profit, not the employee. Have a well paid.
Ah, and he stands to lose most.
Ah, and the man who has nothing loses nothing. Lies in a poor man's grave. At the poor man's funeral.
Oh,
Will
James,
you be the
you're
better
on
for lying in a
fire.
rich man's grave, James?
Aye, but I'll have worked for it.
200 cases of oranges destroyed and 20 casks of wine despoiled. There'll be no bonus for you this trip, Captain Onedin. Not a penny piece. You take your leave and report back next week.
Very well, Mr. Cannon.
Captain Onedin, sir. Captain Onedin. £22, 12 shillings and sixpence, sir. Give you a sign here, sir. Pay attention to your work there.
Old Josh Webster's ship. What do you think of that?
A poor bargain.
Well, that depends upon the price.
Should fetch about 500. Oh, more with an ounce of luck. The Websters must be close to penury. The old man's taken to the bottle. Well, that vinegar-faced daughter of his tries to keep up the fiction that he has the fever. He has the Barbados fever.
She'd still be unwed then, I dare say.
Well, who'd have her? Tight as a crab apple and wrong side of 30.
Asking price should be low.
Bound to be. I doubt if that ship has tasted salt water for 2 years past. The Charlotte Rhodes is the jest of the waterfront.
Oh, Fraser's Yard's built her. Fraser's built sound ships.
She's not sound now. She's fit only for stripping and turning into a coal oak.
Under 500, you reckon, eh? Robert, I've 175 saved. Will you lend me the balance?
What, for that wreck? You cannot be serious, James.
I'll give you a note of hand. You shan't lose by it.
On what security?
A partnership.
A partnership. In what?
A trading venture, eh?
You propose to put to sea in that?
Aye. I'll sail in a skiff if need be.
The sea routes are spoken for. The owners would crush you, and they've no taste for competition.
Look, £325, that's all I need, and I'll make your fortune for you.
I doubt if I could put my hands on 325 shillings, much less pounds.
Well, you've the shop and the stock.
A shop and a stock? You're asking me to mortgage wife and family against a foolhardy venture that's doomed to failure before it even begins? You speak so grandly of the world as your oyster, but that shell has long been prized open. Shop and stock. Where do you intend to sail that wreck? And with what cargo?
Oh, somewhat careless with your casks, Robert.
Not I. Full of a dream and dropped it and lost me its contents, but I shall claim, never fear, I shall claim.
Well, somebody will be out of pocket.
Not I.
Oh, manufacturer.
Oh, the carrier. It's his responsibility.
A carrier, eh? Mm-hmm. Robert, which has greater value? Cask or content?
Well, the cask, naturally, it's made of seasoned oak, but it's of little value now.
Vinegar?
9 gallons of it straight down the drain. Why, are you thinking of carrying vinegar on that hook? At least it might pickle its timbers.
Not vinegar, Robert. Why?
The wine trade. Oh, for God's sake, James, you're not thinking of competing with Callum?
Why not? He's had a good run for his money. Look,
The Braganza contract has but 7 weeks to run. I think I see a way of snapping it from under Callan's nose.
James, even if you had a ship, Callan would undercut any price you could offer. He can afford to. And he'd neither forget nor forgive. He's a hard man, James. He'll run you off the seas.
No, I know Callan. And I know Braganza.
And between them, they play you like a fish.
It is not I who take the bait, but I must have a ship. Now. Robert, will you lend me the money?
And keep your purse strings tight. Candler, sustain your family on vinegar.
Captain Onedin?
Good evening, Miss Webster. I apologise for the lateness of the call and any inconvenience, but, might I have a few moments' conversation with your father?
To what purpose?
A matter of business.
I'm sorry, sir, but Captain Webster is indisposed.
It is a matter of some consequence.
To you? Or to us?
Well, I had hoped to make an offer for the ship. Might save the bother of public auction.
Private sale? Do you represent yourself alone or others?
With respect, Miss Webster, but my business must lie with your father.
Very well. If you'll step inside, I'll inquire if my father will receive you.
Thank you.
If you would wait in here, Captain Onedin.
Thank you, Miss Webster.
You will not object to the presence of a woman during your discussion. My father is a sick man, and I would not have him taken advantage of.
I understand.
You may smoke if you wish.
Thank you.
It's time, daughter. It's time for my tot.
Oh, Father, do try and pull yourself together.
I need my tot.
We have a visitor.
I can't see no one without I have my evening tot.
A gentleman neighbour inquiring about the ship.
I'm entitled.
Couldn't you have shaved, just for once? You'll need a clean stock and neckband. And shoes.
I wear the ones with the buckles. My buckle shoes and my uniform.
You've naught other, all else is in pawn.
Gentleman of some importance, is he?
We're already acquainted with Captain Onedin, Father.
Onedin, that young pup. Tradesman's son. Young upstart. Pious, parsimonious family, the Onedins. His father refused to extend my credit, and as a result, my ship's rotting away. World's going to a pretty pass when a twopenny shopkeeper can refuse a gentleman. But I outlived that mean-minded old devil for all his sharp ways. Now his son wants to bargain for my ship, does he? I'll bargain, by God.
You will leave the negotiations to me, Father. I fancy that Captain Onedin had it in mind to name a sharp price. But if you do not disgrace me, we shall meet him. I believe you're acquainted with my father, sir.
Your servant, sir.
Merchantman, aren't you?
Aye, sir.
And a true Onedin by the cut of your jib. Well, take it easy, man, take it easy. A glass or two of wine, daughter.
Thank you, sir, but I prefer to keep a clear head when discussing matters of business.
My father is not yet fully recovered from the fever, sir.
I know the symptoms well.
A fever contracted on the slave coast in the service of his country.
Retired me on half pay, they did, by smart lords of the Admiralty. There's little gratitude in this world, young man, little gratitude. But I beat the winner and outgunned them. I bought the schooner Charlotte Rhodes, as sound a ship as ever spread canvas. And if it hadn't been for that penny-pinching father of yours...
Father? We understand, Captain Onedin, that you wish to make an offer for the ship.
A lovely vessel, worth a fortune in gold. A seaworthy vessel as you'll find in a year's search, made of good British oak.
I know all there is to know about the Charlotte Road, sir. How much are you asking?
650 guineas.
I must tell you, Miss Webster, that I've spent the entire morning going over that ship from stem to stern and from truck to keel.
And your offer, sir?
I must also tell you that I've made diligent inquiries as to your circumstances.
You are impertinent, sir.
You insolent jackanapes.
Business is a matter of negotiation. Before one can negotiate with certainty, it is necessary to fully comprehend the strengths and weaknesses of the other side.
Tradesman's trickery. I'll not have it. Damn you, I'll burn the ship first.
You have an offer in mind?
I have.
And what is it?
£175.
£175?
You scoundrel! If you are under my command, by God!
£175 in gold. End of partnership. We make out a proper form of agreement, and I'll undertake to refit the ship.
Yes, and wring us dry, you rogue, like your father did before you. I'll have none of it. Show this creature the door.
Partnership?
We would make a profit, Miss Webster. A steady and increasing income to set against small capital, which Captain Webster's fever would suck dry within a year or two.
You young scallywag! If I had half my strength...
You'd not be in the straits you find yourself in now. Well, Miss Webster...
You're a villain, sir. A smooth-tongued, thieving villain.
Do be quiet, Father. We should require proof of more than good intent.
The ship is mine. I will not sell. Don't listen to him, man. Get him out of my sight.
If you please, Captain Onedin, my father desires to consider the matter closed. This way, if you please. I think we may speak more privily here. Are you a fool or a charlatan?
Neither.
Prove it.
Well, a deed of contract.
Which would last the lifetime of my father only, and thereafter?
Well, then another contract would be made out between you and I. Why not?
You, the surviving partner, would own the business.
That is not my intent.
But that would be the effect, a poor bargain, sir. You need the ship with some urgency, I take it.
To make a beginning.
Then your need must be great indeed.
As great as yours, perhaps.
I've little taste for penury. One day my father's weakness will assuredly drive him to the grave, and I shall be left penniless. At best, I shall be constrained to live off the charity of friends. At worst, it will mean the poorhouse. I can assure you I've little fancy for either. You understand the problem?
Security?
In return for the ship?
Well, I'll not hide it from you, Miss Webster. I cannot put up surety.
And there is my father to be considered. He's a weak and foolish old man, but I would not see him destitute. There is only one form of partnership that would ensure the sort of security I require. And the ship would not cost you one penny apiece.
What?
As a dowry.
A what?
There is only one way a woman may escape poverty, Captain Onedin.
Marriage?
A not uncommon arrangement.
You strike a hard bargain, Miss Webster.
Am I so unbecoming?
Well, I'm no great romantic, but matters such as this requires a deal of thought.
And I took you for a man quick to decision.
Well, you might not find me so great a catch either.
I should have the protection of your name and a share in your success.
Yeah, or failure.
I think you and failure to be poor bedfellows, Captain Onedin.
It's a grave risk.
Then we will say no more of it.
Well, I mean for you.
Oh?
Well, I ask you to consider carefully, Miss Webster. You might be exchanging one form of poverty for another. I've but £175 in the world.
And ambition.
Oh, yeah, I've ambition enough for an army of Napoleons, but ambition won't feed us, clothe us, pay creditors.
You would be hard put to find a better housekeeper, and a less complaining. I'm well trained on that score, I can assure you.
'Tis no easy road. One I would prefer to walk alone.
A few minutes ago, you were speaking of partnership.
I could buy myself out of that kind of partnership, but the one that you have in mind, that's for life.
For better, for worse.
For richer or poorer.
I therefore plight thee my troth.
Ship will need cordage and canvas and timbers caulked and...
It is a bargain, then?
I wonder which of us will have the better of it.
Married to Anne Webster?
Aye, answer to be read on Sunday.
Oh, but James, so soon. Surely you should have waited.
You sly dog.
Oh, James, I'm delighted for you. But you've not yet made us acquainted with the lady.
Ah, well, you know her well enough, Sarah.
But not socially, James, not socially.
You're a dark horse. A trifle of moonlight courting.
Robert.
Well, why else would a man marry in such haste, eh?
Robert, your tongue may the more readily stop clacking when I tell you that it is simply a marriage of convenience. Miss Webster is sensible to the fact that I must sail with all haste the moment the ship has been refitted.
Convenience? A marriage of convenience?
There was simply no other way of obtaining the ship. Robert, I'd like a word with you.
You're marrying her for the ship? You cannot be serious, James.
Oh, he's mad. He's quite mad. He's taken leave of his senses.
Oh, James, you simpleton.
I see no humour in the situation. It's as valid a reason as any for contracting an alliance.
Contracting an alliance? You speak as if you were marrying into property. Well, that plain Jane's naught but the daughter of a penniless wastrel.
A ship is as much property as any but bricks and mortar, and a far more profitable investment.
There's a sight more to marriage than just plain investment, James.
People marry from mutual regard, not for profit.
For love, James, for love.
Well, then the more fool they. I cannot see how any man can keep cool judgment when in the grip of such a humour.
Oh, now, James...
Look, I'm content with the bargain. No more to be said. Robert, I wish to discuss a matter of business with you.
James, I would advance you that money, James, but
to save me from a fate worse than death. No, Robert, you can do me better service than that. Read this.
She's so many years his senior.
Aye, and such a fright as never was.
But I don't understand.
Well, it's simple enough. It's a deed of partnership between you and I.
Oh, no, James, look, we've been through all this before, and I will not be a party...
ship. You don't. This makes you equal partners. You take half the profits.
In return for what?
Well, as I shall be sailing the ship myself, I must have somebody ashore to look after my interests. That man must be a partner. Now, who else could I trust but my own brother?
And my liabilities?
If the ship goes, I go with her. You lose the prospect of a profit.
Ha. Ha ha ha, have you, James? You think to refit the ship at my expense. Well, I'm too smart a dog to be caught like that. I'll have none of it.
£150, Robert. More than enough, would you not say? Let us call it an earnest of good faith.
bottle to us.
Captain, water cask ready for inspection, sir.
Read that, Harry, will you?
James, I want a word with you, please.
James, what is the meaning of this?
It is made out clear enough, my dear.
Do not my dear me, you scoundrel.
And I'll not be berated either before or after marriage.
There will be no marriage, sir, and no dowry. You may whistle for your ship. You're a rogue, sir, a rogue.
You're allowing sensibility to cloud your sense of judgment. This piece of paper is merely a deed of partnership. No more, no less.
Exactly. A deed of partnership in which you undertake to share half our profits. Our profits, mark you, with that other rogue, your brother. I will have none of it, sir. None of it.
Suffer from the same thing as Robert. Blindness. You're so overcome by apprehension and Robert by avarice that neither of you can see that which is manifestly clear.
The one thing manifestly clear to me is that Robert takes half our profits.
That is also the one thing manifestly clear to Robert, fortunately for us.
You dare speak of fortune?
And I take it you have no wish to be besieged by debtors while I am away.
Of course not.
In this form of agreement, each partner is responsible for the other's debts. Now, as I shall be away at sea, that responsibility falls upon Robert. I assure you there'll be little change from the 150 sovereigns that I gave him and come allotment days. Somebody must needs be at hand to pay those seamen's wives.
I see. But it still entitles him to half the profits, does it not?
Not quite. Entitles him to half the profits of the voyage. Not quite the same thing. Now, if things go how I intend they shall, I fear the voyage will show no profit at all.
No profit?
But for the agency of the goods I bring back, there should be handsome profit enough.
In which Robert has no share.
You must learn, Anne, that in matters of business, I give nothing away.
Agnew.
Yes, Mr. Callan?
The Braganza contract.
Immediately, Mr. Callan.
Sharp practice, Agnew. Sharp practice. I can smell it. Yes, that's his game, I'll be bound.
Sir?
That young upstart Onedin. He's familiar with all the details of this contract, isn't he?
Indeed, yes, sir. Bound to be. As shipmaster, he would have been fully
yes,
empowered
I
as
know
your...
all that. I'd also seen that he's refitting in some haste. And I'd give a golden guinea to know her date of sailing and her destination.
I'll attend to it right away, Mr. Callan.
Yes, send that young fella Drummond. He's a smart lad, that. A right smart lad.
Yes, Mr. Callan.
You know, I don't think Onedin would dare try a trick like that, but if he does, by God, I'll run him off the high seas.
Morning, lads.
We're being honoured today. Pretty creature, isn't he?
Who?
The gallant Mr. Fraser. He has a dreadful reputation.
Oh?
Quite the ladies' man, it is said.
I don't doubt that he's come to see James on a matter of business, but he mustn't glimpse me like this.
Oh, I'm sure Mr. Fraser too polite a man to notice.
He's noticed you, I think.
He really is quite the flirt.
I think you're too bold, Elizabeth.
I'm perfectly safe with you as chaperone, Anne.
Permission to come aboard, sir?
Aye, if you must.
He is coming aboard.
You're not my responsibility. But I'll not endure Mr. Fraser seeing me like this.
Mr. Fraser?
Just passing. Thought to pop aboard to offer me congratulations.
Thank you.
Took us all quite by surprise. For your betrothed. A small token of regard.
Thank you.
You've made a splendid match, I would say. Peas from the same pod, eh? I would appreciate an invitation.
What?
To the wedding.
Oh, it is to be no grand affair.
Quite right. Far too much pomp these days. I take it Miss Elizabeth will grace the occasion with her presence.
Oh, so that's the way the wind blows. You have little chance there, Fraser. My sister is already promised. Yes, she has engaged to marry Mr. Fogarty. Now, Mr. Fogarty is mate of a brigantine. He'll be returning soon. No doubt to claim his betrothed.
The ladies are notoriously fickle creatures.
Not Elizabeth. You're wasting your time there, Fraser.
Thought you might care to put in a word for me. Influence of a brother, you know.
Why should I?
Self-interest. You're a sharp chap, Onedin. Very sharp. No offense. Paying you a compliment.
Well, come to the point.
Putting it as delicately as I can. You marry into shipping, eh? Thought you might care to consider another alliance. Shipbuilding. We have the yards, you know. Just a thought.
Are you serious?
But of course. Wouldn't have broached the matter otherwise.
You might find my sister to have strong views on that score.
I'd be more than disappointed if she did not. But obstacles by their very nature are ours to overcome. Do you not agree? Given a free hand, that is.
No cargo, sir. He will be sailing in Bast.
It must be the Reganza contract he's after. Due for renewal on the 31st. That's 10 days. The rogue's cutting it fine.
He is sailing immediately after the wedding, sir.
The devil he is. Ships, Agnew. Ships. Now, what have we got available?
There's the brig Firefly. She should clear for Lisbon on the 25th.
Firefly, that scow could never catch Onedin until you've seen the Charlotte roads. He's got a rig for a quick crossing. Yes, that devil knows he's about. Oh, a fast ship, Agnew. A fast ship, that's what I need.
There's only the Maud, sir, but she's a package ship.
Clipper? Get that ship cleared for Lisbon, no later than first tide tomorrow.
Yes,
See
but,
to it, man.
But she's already taking cargo for Boston and Philadelphia.
For my eyes.
Watch that child of mine. Help her up, Jim.
I'm sailing with you, James.
Ship's no place for a woman.
A wife's place is beside her husband.
There's no Western Ocean going packet.
We'll make shift.
It can be dangerous. I shall drive her hard. I intend to take the inshore passage.
Then my best place is surely here. For I've no more fancy for widowhood than spinsterhood, James. We sink or swim together.
Very well, then. Clear the gangway. Let go forward. Let go aft. And the braces. Quick and stolen the march on Callan?
James,
What?
your sister Elizabeth, she's beautiful.
Pinched about the nose, but I dare say she's got a fair share of beauty. Fraser and Fogarty seem to think so.
I wish I were
What?
beautiful, but I'm not. I'm plain and ugly, and my skin is sallow.
Anne. Men married for beauty alone. Be a power of lonely women in the world.
Sail ho!
Well?
It's the Charlotte Rhodes. No doubt about it, sir.
Can we catch her?
She has neither a hope nor a prayer, sir. We have her by the heels, and even under half our canvas, we leave her standing.
Good. Good. I'll teach that young bastard.
What ship is she?
The Maud. One of Callan's crack Western Ocean going clippers with a bone in her teeth.
I finished your house flag, James. What do you think?
Here, his dander must be up to detach such a ship from so profitable a trade.
Will she catch us?
We'll show him our colours.
His topsails below the horizon. We've beaten him, Davis. We've beaten him. And now I'll crush him.
The new contract will reduce your freight charges by 7.5%, Signor Braganza.
I'm overwhelmed at such generosity, senor.
Yes, it's in your favor, but you won't get better terms anywhere else. I warrant that.
You're more than generous, senor.
So if you would kindly read these documents, please.
But of course.
I don't understand you, James. Callan has arrived first.
Still take me for a fool.
What?
I've been racing time, not a ship. I wrote to Braganza, asking for an appointment and requesting that he delays meeting with Callan until I've had an opportunity of discussing my proposals.
But will he?
Well, he'd be a fool not to. And he's no fool.
More than satisfactory, senor.
Yes, I shall have to answer to my shareholders, no doubt, but I thought it was the least I could do in return for the long and profitable association between our two houses, Signor. You will sign?
Why not? And you were in such haste to bring me the good news that you came by package. I'm honored, senor.
It's one of my maxims that when it comes to a question of business, principle should deal with principle.
An admirable sentiment, senor.
So if you'd kindly sign these contracts, Signor.
I see another British ship has come to anchor. A schooner, I think. Yeah. Her house flag is not familiar. A white letter O against a blue background. Do you know of such a company, senor?
No, it's new to me.
Up. Ah, Captain Onedin, I've been expecting you. I received your letter 3 days ago. I believe you are acquainted with Senor Callum.
Yeah.
Senor Onedin has a matter of business he wishes to discuss.
So, Signor, if you'd be kind enough to sign these 2 contracts, I'll leave you 2 gentlemen to your discussions.
Unfortunately, Senor Callum, that is not possible. Senor Onedin's proposals, I understand, will cover the very situation that we have been discussing. With your permission, gentlemen. $7.50%, senor.
Well, I'm not the man to stint when business is at stake. I'll make it 10% and add another ship. That gives you 6 ships to call on and 10% reduction in your freightage charge.
You have no comment, senor? Then you put me in some difficulty. Without knowledge of your proposals, I must drive with the devil, eh?
I can better anything that Callan can offer.
I'll put an end to this lottery. 15%. Now, beyond that, no man can show a profit.
I can.
He's got but 1 ship.
Well, I shall have more.
How?
That's my fare.
I'll offset my losses against my immigrant trade. 20% for the first 6 months, 15% for the next 6, and thereafter an option to renew. Now, if he tries to better that, he'll bankrupt himself and you.
I'll carry your wine free of all charges.
What?
You'll find small profit there, I think, senor.
He's mad.
I shall find profit enough if I'm made your sole agent for the United Kingdom.
I see. No, it's impossible to sail a ship on commission alone.
I shall also want a contract guaranteeing that my ships, and my ships alone, have the concession of returning your empty wine casks.
I begin to understand. Please continue, senor. Your proposal interests me.
Well, a matured wine cask is of greater value than its contents, you'd agree?
Indeed, yes.
Well, in future, instead of paying 15 or 20 different shipping agents, you pay only one. Me. And I undertake to collect and deliver, at agreed intervals, your wine casks in good condition. I'll discuss the matter of their freight charges later.
It is a clever scheme.
A too clever behalf. If it's your empty barrels you're concerned with,
Senor Callan, please. Where does a man in my position place his trust? That is the question I must answer. In you, senor? Well, in all the years of our business, your rates have gone up and never once come down. Until now. Certainly you will serve me at any price. But is it to serve me? Well, I think not. To drive competition with new ideas of service of the seas, that, I think, is your intention.
You'd have no English trade at all if it weren't for me. By God, Braganza,
when the competition is no more, Senor Callum, what will happen to your charges then?
They'll remain where I quoted them.
Captain Onedin has made a better offer. Good day to you, senor.
You've not heard the last of this, Braganza. Nor you, Onedin. I'll drive you off the seas. You'll learn, by God. You'll learn.
And now to business. First, you will require a note of authorization. Then, there is the matter of your commission, and you will explain to me in detail.
Well, your empty wine casks are stored in warehouses and transit sheds throughout the length and breadth of the United Kingdom. I undertake to collect all your casks in my warehouse.
Oh, you have a warehouse, senor?
Imagine yourself captain and owned, with your first cargo down there in the hold. 850 casks of Senior Braganza's wine. Well, Mrs. Onedin, you just stepped on deck, read the weather and ship.
Right, James. Wind light, easterly. All sails set and drawing fully.
Huh? And where are we heading?
Homeward bound. Lisbon to Liverpool.
You happen to be pointing in the right direction.
Oh, of course, the compass.
Course, Mr. Baines?
Northwest by north, a half northwest.
Now in our wind direction. Of course, all we need is our position. You're a seaman's daughter. Try your hand at shooting the sun. Now, set it to 0.
Right.
Point her at the sun. Now, move that arm until the sun kisses the horizon. Don't forget to clamp the screw.
Won't keep still.
Hold steady. You brace yourself against the roll of the ship. 1 degree error can put us 60 miles out now, reckoning.
Got it, I think.
No sign, Mr. Baines.
Aye, aye, sir. Keep her steady.
Time. Start the bells, Mr. Baines.
Drag the bell!
That's all there is to it. Come on, let's work it out.
That's all we need. There's never no luck with women.
Aye?
On board ship, I mean.
There we are then. Noon position. Right. Now, first remember, latitude is measured north or south of the equator, longitude east or west of the Greenwich meridian. Line of latitude, meridian of longitude. Plumb line for the one, timepiece for the other. Where the two calculations intersect, position. Right. Let's see you measure the day's run.
Yesterday's noon position. Today's position. 138 miles.
Average speed.
6 knots.
Like a navigator of the year.
We left Lisbon 5 days ago with Mr. Braganza's wine. Why do we sail so far out into the Atlantic?
We head out to pick up the westerlies.
Oh, I see. I still don't fully understand how by carrying Mr. Braganza's wine free of charge, we can nevertheless show a profit.
Senior Braganza understands well enough. Which is why I decided not to renew Callan's contract, but let me carry the wine instead.
Understandable if you're carrying it free of charge.
But remember, I also agreed to return his empty casks at full freightage.
But we have a shipload of wine, for the carriage of which we'll not receive 1 penny piece. How will we live in the meantime? There'll be debts to meet and crew to be paid.
You're forgetting 2 important factors. First, as Braganza's agent, I shall receive 10% commission on all wine carried, and 2, my brother Robert.
Robert?
Remember the partnership agreement. Robert thought he could gain something for nothing by simply scratching his name across a piece of paper. Robert's about to learn a lesson.
Oh?
Robert's responsible for all debts incurred during the voyage. Here, I'd give a guinea to see his face when the debtors start clamouring for their dues.
Home in 3 weeks, he said, with fat profits for his bull. Damn. 3 weeks and 3 days and still no sign of his damn ship.
Young Fogarty's ship has been sighted.
Daniel's ship? But I'm a dreadful sight. Oh, you mustn't see me thus.
Elizabeth, what about you?
Where'd you get this pig swill, James?
Brother Robert.
I know I'd the better of that bargain.
Man must take his profit where he can.
Not at our expense. No housewife worth her salt would tolerate this offal.
Ship's not an hotel, you know, Anne.
Just as well. I'd have precious few customers.
Has Daniel arrived?
He's taking a glass of wine with Robert. Now, hold your breath. I think it time that you and Daniel, put up the band.
Daniel has his mind set upon being master of a fine ship first.
We shall have to drag that young man to the altar, I can see. Otherwise, you're in danger of being left on the shelf, my girl.
Daniel needs little persuasion, I do assure you.
Why, Elizabeth, I do believe you're blushing.
A natural agitation.
Perhaps your lacing's a little too tight.
Daniel says it's very becoming.
Oh.
What's up with you, Jacko?
It's my stomach. It's burning.
What's the matter?
Oh.
Been like that all night? Let's fetch the maid.
Or leave a kiss within the cup, and I'll not ask for wine. The thirst that from the soul doth rise doth ask a drink divine.
Another glass of Madeira, Dan.
But might I of Jove's nectar sip, I would not change for thine.
Very good, very good.
Did you know Mr. Callan had already broached the matter of Daniel's promotion?
Oh? Yes, he has promised me the first available berth.
As master.
Ah, well, he dangled that carrot before James for nigh on 6 years.
I've always found Mr. Callan to be a man of his word, sir.
How would promotion affect your future plans, Mr. Fogarty?
Well, I hope, Mrs. Onedin, that I shall then be in a position to ask for Elizabeth's hand.
Ah, well, I shouldn't wait too long if I were you. Young Fraser hovers like a bee round a honeypot.
Fraser?
Really, Robert? Don't take any notice of my husband, Mr. Fogarty. He's a great tease.
I mean what I say, Sarah. It's time that Elizabeth was married. And Daniel here would make a damn sight better husband than young Fraser.
Who is this Fraser?
Mr. Albert Fraser, the son of the shipbuilder.
He keeps trying to persuade his father to build steamships.
I see, a floating kettle man. Well, if he's pestering you with his unwarranted attentions, Elizabeth, I trust you will give me the satisfaction of dealing with him on your behalf.
On the contrary, Mr. Fraser is quite the little gentleman. Your servant, Miss Elizabeth. If I may be of service, Miss Elizabeth, may I have the privilege of taking your arm, Miss Elizabeth?
The devil he does. If I had him aboard ship, I'd put a reef in his tail smart enough.
You mustn't take it amiss, Daniel. You've no cause of jealousy of Mr. Fraser, I do assure you. You're twice the man.
Jealousy is quite a common disorder of those with an affectionate nature. Why, before we were married, Robert was quite the green-eyed monster.
I still am. Here, Daniel, a toast to the Charlotte Rhodes. May she return laden to the gunnels and with big fat profits all round.
Amen to that.
We shouldn't be waiting James' return with such anxiety if he'd left money enough to pay his debts before he sailed.
It seemed a considerable sum at the time, Sarah. £150 was not to be sneezed at.
It took more than that in stock and cordage to re-rig the ship, but you're too...
And what? What?
You're too generous-hearted a man to notice. You're too easily put upon, Robert.
There are good profits to be made in shipping.
Aye, and losses. Why, every day the newspaper is full of reports of ships foundered, wrecked, overdue.
Shipping is a risky business, Sarah. It's not like a shop. There's security in a shop.
I've seen to it that the forecastle is scrubbed out with carbolic, Mr. Baines, but that seaman is seriously ill.
It's the fever, ma'am, and there'll be a lot more down with it before this voyage is over. Time is approaching noon, ma'am.
I'll tell Captain Onedin. It's noon, James. Mr. Baines! James, what is it? Mr. Baines! You can lend a hand, Mr. Baines.
Let me move on the deck. Right now on the bunk there. It's the ship's fever right enough. See the rash?
Nonsense. It's the result of eating tainted meat.
It's the ship's fever and it'll spread like wildfire. I've seen it before.
You may leave us, Mr. Baines. Take the noonday observation.
Who, me?
You're the ship's mate, next in order of command.
But I cannot.
Why?
Well, I don't have the lettering, ma'am. I never had no schooling, you see.
Is there no one who can read and write?
No one but yourself, ma'am.
But I know nothing of navigation.
Well, Captain Onedin showed you the manner of laying off a course on a chart.
Well, yes, but this
All I need to know is the lie of the land. I see no difficulty. If I had the lettering, I shouldn't trouble you, ma'am, but I haven't. So the matter rests in your hands. There's no one else for it.
James? James?
No.
How's he doing? That rash is spreading all over him. He's coughing a lot.
Blood.
Which course are we steering?
West by north, half north.
Is the old man still on his back?
He's out like a light. His missus is doing a navigating, according to Baines.
Oh, taking orders from a woman? We'll get lost.
The wind's heading us, ma'am. You see, I gotta bear away. I must have a new course.
Yes, but I can't get...
The wind's heading us again. What's our heading?
Northwest by west, mate.
Let's know she veers again. Let's go round to the northeast, ma'am.
What do you suggest, Mr. Baines?
Well, we've got to head to Weston.
That would take us further out into the Atlantic.
Aye, give us plenty of sea room till Captain Onedin's on his feet again.
No, Mr. Baines. My husband undertook to deliver this cargo directly, and every extra day at sea costs money. I should like to take the shortest possible route home.
The hands are sickening with fever.
All the more reason for a short voyage.
They won't thank you for it. Ship's fever is well known to be a contagion of the air, best dealt with by the purifying action of clean ocean winds.
Mr. Baines, the men are ill of eating unwholesome meat. There is only one cure. Come with me this instant, Mr. Baines.
Here's the one.
Aye, I suppose so.
What a waste.
There you go.
Got it? All right. Over she goes. Look at that.
Mr. Baines? I shall require to examine the contents of each new cask as it's opened. In future, all meat will be thoroughly cooked and served as broths or stews.
I'll not eat boiled meat.
Then you shall starve. The crew will obtain their drinking water from the galley in future after it has been thoroughly boiled.
Boiled water, boiled meat.
That's enough lip from you two. Get forward. You try my patience, ma'am. You really do.
Mr. Baines. We need to be 2 points further west. Mr. Baines!
2 points closer to the wind. You two on the headsail sheets! You bring the yard sharp up! Armitage! Bring her up as close as you can.
Thank you, Mr. Baines. Let me have the best course you can make.
Mr. Baines! Behind! Tommy! Behind! Mr. Baines! Mr. Baines!
Hold it! Bring her into the wind! Bring her into the wind! Very fast!
Wind took her and jammed his hand in the block.
Go on to the hatch with him. Now hold still! Hold him still! Now, let's have a look at the damage, son.
How is the injured man, Mr. Baines?
He's lost 3 fingers, but he'll live.
Poor man.
I have to beg for his bread from now on.
Is he married?
3 children. But I've known worse. You're a captain's daughter yourself, I understand, ma'am.
In the Navy.
You know, if I'd have had the lettering, I'd have made a captain myself by now. It's those with book learning has all the advantages. You know, I tried very hard.
Yes. You must forgive me, Mr. Baines. I'm a somewhat slow calculator.
Well, Captain Onedin seemed to read it off the sexton, ma'am.
But I can't. However, we sailed 138 miles yesterday. And our new course?
No quarter west, but on the starboard tack. We made a fair amount of leeway, I reckon.
Leeway?
Yeah. Well, you see, a ship don't sail in a straight line. The wind sort of blows it sideways, and we call that making leeways.
Oh, yes, of course. With Captain Onedin ill and another man maimed, we need a doctor, Mr. Baines. I should like to strike for home as quickly as possible.
As you wish.
And steer as near to east-northeast as you can, if you please, and I'll try to calculate our latitude.
East-northeast? Well, I'll keep her as close as I can, ma'am, but there's very little wind.
Latitude. Latitude. James.
Latitudinal.
Yes, James. How do I calculate latitude?
All's plain sailing. From pole to pole. Steering by the stars. Brings good fortune, you see. Robert may have the better of the bargain yet, eh? With a hand to the plough and the pointer, see, Jane, sail plain, plain Jane, sail plain.
Rest easy, James. Rest easy. You've done your best. Plain Jane. Is that what I am to? From pole to pole, he said, and steer by the stars.
Nor'easter, ma'am, what there is of it.
The sun moves across the heavens and its path varies from season to season, but the stars are fixed.
Yes, ma'am.
The plough. A hand to the plough and the pointer, of course.
Big pardon, ma'am?
I've got it, Mr. Baines.
Got what, ma'am?
How to get our latitude. The polar star, you see? Latitude is determined by simply measuring the angle of a star fixed above the pole. The angle is our latitude.
Never no luck since that woman set foot on board. Telling the cook to throw good victuals over the side. How you feeling, Jacko boy? Jacko. Jackal.
En zou er nog nooit aan een was aan de deen ook een door het megas aan een nevel. Ja, dat je redt dat doe je niet. Je weet waarop hij nog de allemaal die niet aan de lerwe. Ik ga helemaal in een broer die gaat. Van nooit zo.
We therefore commit his body to the deep. To be turned into corruption, looking for the resurrection of the body when the sea shall give up her dead, and the life of the world to come, through our Lord Jesus Christ.
And ho! Amen.
I haven't finished.
Well, I have. Where away?
A lighthouse, a point to starboard.
A lighthouse? Hold it. There's a lighthouse dead ahead.
Now we shall know our position.
I know our position, madam. That is Ocean Island off the French coast. Stand by the warship. Let go, Fosters. Come on. Out of my way. Get out. Now slack away, mizzen and main sheets. So much for your navigation. You'll have us aground.
I don't understand.
I'm taking command, missus. So go below and tend to your husband. This very instant, if you please.
Yes?
I wish to speak to Mr. Onedin.
I'll call him.
Robert, shop.
Right.
He'll be here directly.
Mr. Onedin?
Yes.
White stocking day.
Oh, you've got your allowance
Yes,
note.
I have.
Well, if there's anything that you want to buy...
It is when I get the cash.
Cash?
My son signed aboard the Charlotte Road 1 month ago. That's his mark, that's his written name, Jacko Waters. I'm his mother. His wife is entitled to 1/2 of 1 month's pay. Not a penny more, nor less.
Yes, I do understand that, Mrs.
Good, because there'll be a
Waters.
dozen on my ears with the same claim.
Yes, but it is my brother's ship, and
Now,
he's still
don't
at
try to
sea.
put me off
and
with fine words, young man. You're his nutcracker, it says so here, and black and white doesn't lie.
Yes, but I didn't enter into any
Jacko
agreement.
did. There's his mark to prove it. 30 shillings, if you please, Mr. Onedin.
I'm afraid, Mrs. Waters, you'll have to wait on the return of my brother and his ship. Very well. You shall have your money.
That's only 26 shillings. 30's me due and 30 I'll have.
You forget my discount, Mrs. Walters.
Discount? What discount?
For cash. Why, any other nutcracker would charge you, what, 5 shillings in the pound, and well, you know it, Mrs. Waters. I've treated you fair. Very fair.
Needs must, I suppose. Day to you.
All right, Bill?
Poor old Jack, though. He was a good shipmate.
There's that bitch of a woman.
It's not her fault.
One man in a sailmaker's coffin. You maim for life. Be my turn next.
I've got a mouth like the inside of the devil's boots.
All we gotta drink is boiled water.
And a full cargo of wine aboard.
All hands! Let's have you!
She's worse than a packet ship. One man to do the work of 10 men.
I could do with a drink.
Don't worry, boy. We'll break open a cask tonight.
You better watch out for Baines.
I'll watch him. Better than boiled water, eh, Billy? Get it down, you boy.
Oh, that's better. I'll tell you, the thirst is gone now.
Sweet boy, sweet.
Oh, that's a beauty, Taffy. That's great.
That ship's cargo.
We found this busted cask.
Busted cask, eh?
Mr. Baines, what's happening here?
Well, we just checking to see nothing shifted in the hold, ma'am.
Ship's cargo. You'll rot in jail for this. And as for you, Mr. Baines, you've commanded your last ship.
Ma'am.
Beg your pardon, Ma'am.
Speak when you're spoken to.
What you saw, Ma'am?
That wine is ship's cargo.
You no right to talk to Mr. Baines like that?
You get back to work. I should like a word with you, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. Baines.
I was asking you, ma'am, to cease interfering with the running of the ship.
The running of the ship! Do you have the impertinence to call that shambles an exercise in command? Cargo pilfered, the crew drunk and mutinous. You take much upon yourself, Mr. Baines.
We're sailing on a storm canvas, ma'am. 2 days of flat calm and our storm canvas. We've been at work while you've been abed.
It's no more than the work they engaged to do.
We never overcrewed a best. Now we have one man dead and another hauling on the same tack, and 2 more bare able to hold to the deck, let alone claw aloft.
You broached cargo, Mr. Baines.
I broached cargo?
Ship and cargo in your charge, and I find you drinking it.
Drinking the stuff that hardly touched my lips.
As for the others, they can hang for mutiny.
Mutiny? They'd cause enough for complaint and showed it the only way they know how.
By broaching cargo.
Ship's fever is well known to be a contagion of the air.
For which the specific is the bottle.
Use a little wine for thy stomach's sake and for thine infirmities. Scriptures, man.
Thou shalt not steal. That is also scripture, Mr. Baines.
Look, I know ships and seas and the winds that blow, and I can handle men drunk or sober. But a more obstinate, parsimonious woman than yourself I never comprehended. And in spite of your lettering and your figuring, we have less notion of our position and what course to set than we had 3 days ago. That's why the hands are dispirited, man. That's why they can only see one end of the voyage. Disaster, man. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm required on deck.
Mr. Baines!
Aye?
I'll strike a bargain with you.
What sort of bargain?
I navigate, you sail.
I gave that a fair trial already, and you drove us ashore.
If you will agree, I promise in return to teach you to read and write.
My characters?
Yes.
And figures?
Yes.
And no more interfering with my running of the ship?
No.
And no more talk of mutiny? That was foolish talk, man.
Very well.
While the wind's in the southwest, that could be a fair wind.
Then we're in agreement.
Aye. What course shall I set?
North until noon, if you please, Mr. Baines.
Morning. Oh, I could eat a horse. Hooves and all. It's from Mr. Fraser. He asks if he may have the pleasure of my company to a performance of Mr. Verdi's La Traviata. Really, it's a most formal letter.
Then you must write an equally formal letter of refusal.
Ah.
Why should I? I've never been to an opera.
You owe a certain duty to Mr. Fogarty, Elizabeth. And I'm quite sure that Mr. Fogarty would not allow you to attend any function escorted only by Mr. Fraser.
Daniel does not yet rule my life, and he's been far too possessive a nature lately. I shall accept Mr. Fraser's invitation, if only to put Daniel out of countenance.
You have nothing to wear.
I shall find something.
Not if it costs money, you won't.
Money, money, money! That's all I ever hear in this household.
Thank you, Mr. Baines.
Let's go here.
Thank you for taking me to the theatre, Daniel. I do so prefer it to the opera.
Opera? Did I mention the opera?
You can't beat a good melodrama. Kept in a room to save another woman from rising to ring a bell, or to handle the scissors, or to play the piano when ordered. I cried wet tears. I couldn't help myself. And the Russian prince.
At your hands, I assure you, slavery would be the most desirable thing on earth.
But freedom's better.
You'll never be free of me, Elizabeth.
Never, Daniel.
James!
Where are we?
12 days out and off the Welsh coast. James, it'd be madness to go on deck in this storm. Mr. Baines can handle the ship.
Baines? Baines can't count beyond 10.
Mr. Baines and I have learned to trust each other's judgment.
I'd rather trust to Providence. Well, where precisely are we?
I can show you on the chart. Our known position. And since then we've been sailing northeast with the most boisterous wind.
Who navigated?
I did.
You learned fast.
I had to. James, you mustn't go on deck. You're not fit. Mr. Baines is more than competent once we're in sight of land.
Sight of land?
Look sharp there! I want to bear away! Mr. Baines, we've lost our flying jib and we're reefing right down. Where are we? I can't see clear, but I think that's the bittern. I'd shake out the reefs. She won't take it!
Do as I order. Hoist them all but the topsail.
We've lost the flying jib already, and we'll lose the ship!
It's my cargo, my money, and my ship. My master, set the staysail.
Aye, aye, sir. All hands!
Take out the reef in the foresail and the staysail.
Aye, aye, sir. Take out reef, up staysail. We're under crew!
Tie down the wheel.
All right, I'll lash it.
Have you seen Jacko Walters?
Where's Papa?
I don't know, darling. Where did you say?
That was the last of them.
And it was tainted meat after all, ma'am.
Thank you, Mom. Captain.
Take care.
Thank you, Mom.
Let me, James.
Is the cargo safe? She's not damaged, is she?
Aye, plain sailing all the way.
Ah.
Should have been with us.
Oh, this is Jack's mother.
I'm afraid I've some...
What is it, Mrs. Onedin?
The children, it might be better if we talk privately.
Jack, where is he?
Mrs. Walters.
Come on, Pet. Your dad's not going to come home today.
Where's my Jacko? Where is he?
He died, Mrs. Walters.
Oh, no. Not my Jacko. Oh, no. Oh, no.
James! James, thank God you're back. Well, how much profit did we make? Oh, come on. How much?
Right, up, easy now. There we are. Right.
Radio, Jack.
Jolly good.
6, Captain. Yeah, well, the parcel's 12 casks in all for Messrs. Watson. Look, the rest will keep till the clerk's aboard to pay. You can stow the remainder handy.
Any sign of the man from Watson's?
Well, it's just the drayman.
Keep an eye open for him, will you? He's got the money.
She tells me it's your intention to come and live with me.
Cabin's too confined for 2, leave alone 3.
He's had fever. I had to bring the ship home most of the way.
Honeymoon fever. I knew he'd crack. Not content with swindling me out of my ship, I'm supposed to provide a room for him. What'll it be next?
We've no money.
What?
You can't unload a barrel, Captain, unless your harbour dues are paid. And we'll not have the wharf used for storage, either. What line is this, if you please?
The Onedin line.
Onedin? Never heard of it. Portuguese cars out there, aren't they, Mr. Callan's trade?
Aye, we have the concession now.
Well, then you'll have to see your owners, Captain.
I'm the owner.
Oh? Right, sir, if you just step down to the office.
I'll give you a letter of credit.
Credit? No credit on harbour dues, sir. The line's not even listed.
Well, it will be.
Well, you'll have to come to the office. What tonnage is she?
220.
About a ton. That'll be £33 on the berth. About a week, sir.
Not a time to see my bankers yet.
I'm sorry, sir, but now the cash can be shifted until you've paid at least a cash deposit against the balance. And the balance to be paid before you open articles again.
Well, how much will this deposit be, eh?
15 sovereigns, sir. Will you come to the office now?
I'll be with you presently.
Very good, sir. I'm sorry, but those casks will have to come off the jetty.
Banks!
Sir!
Those casks up again from the jetty.
We've only just put him ashore, sir.
Well, then bring them back on board again. Oh, and has that man from Watson's come yet?
Not a sign, sir.
He said his parcel was urgent. My urgency, not his.
No, he's brought you nothing then.
He's brought himself.
You're going to come to me with nothing, I'll tell you that straight.
Have you any money on you?
No, I have, not ably. I'm still out of pocket over the wedding. Well, I hope when you get home, you'll both still have the clothes you stand up in.
He's asking for rent.
No harm in his asking.
He'll be glad enough with something more to complain at. And me to cook for him. What's the matter?
How much cash have we got?
We have the agency.
No, cash.
£30.
I'll have a sovereign. That's 2.5. I need 15. Harbour authorities want cash against their dues and the balance before we clear.
When have we to pay?
Now. In a way, he's right. As Callan's captain, I no dues to pay. Officer Shaw did all that. I'll warrant Callan as credit.
And us?
Cash now, or the cask's reloaded. You can't put a line ashore without there's some financial obligation. They spike you before you have a chance to clear.
For shame.
What?
Hangdog for 12 sovereigns?
12.5.
If we cannot raise 12.5 sovereigns, we're a poor lot. Have my mother's rings for a start.
Your mother's rings.
If it's cash now, I'll go ashore.
And pawn.
Should I mope here instead?
I'll not see you walk that road so soon.
Did you not think it likely?
Ownership was different from captaincy. I had the vision for the profits and the details. Oh, these details.
Details, no more. And what's this I had? Have we not taken the agency from under Callan's nose? If he has any say with the harbour board, 'tis petty malice, naught else. The agency is ours, signed. Well, then, enough of this malingering. It wasn't for this that I sewed a house flag, or married, or became partner. Well, come on, we shall have to buckle too. Now, have you any jewellery yourself?
Nothing but glitters.
What?
My partner's my only adornment.
Mr. Watson's come himself, Captain. Himself.
Show him aboard.
Sir.
Owen Baines.
Sir.
Be so good as to give my wife a hand with her luggage.
Aye, aye, sir.
Same myself. Get some of my self-respect back. And you've letters to write.
And your cargo to chase.
Yeah, and Robert to see. Profitless.
I'd quite forgotten Robert.
Yeah, well, he won't have forgotten us.
As long as your courage does not ebb again.
And polish your mother's rings.
I think not yet.
Captain Onedin?
Mr. Watson, good afternoon.
My parcel's not fully loaded.
6 casks to complete it.
They were awaiting your clerk.
I always deal with the principal in a new agency. You're returning Braganza's casks as well, I hear. New idea, that. Well, always pleased to welcome new ideas in an expanding business. Now, you'll be wanting your credit note.
I'd prefer cash.
Cash? Cash is very unusual. Let me see. 10% of the consignment is £9.10. Of course, I can't let you have cash without a discount.
You couldn't?
Oh, come now, Captain. You're inexperienced in these matters. Small as the amount is, the principle is the same. Cash in lieu of a 30-day credit note. Let me see, I should expect 2% discount for cash. I take it you mean cash now?
Yes.
Oh, well, let me see. That's 190 shilling, £9. That's 4 shillings. Are you sure you want me to trifle with such sums?
Quite sure.
Oh, well, let me see. That's £9.10 less 4 shillings is £9.06. Call it £9.
Call it 9.6.
You're hard pressed, Captain?
Your parcel was made out as a matter of urgency.
7, 8, £9 and 6 shillings. Callan been at the harbour board, eh?
I've no idea.
He's one of the trustees, you know. Good day to you, Captain.
Good day.
Am I to load the dreiser?
Yes. How soon can we turn round?
Turn round? Have we a cargo?
No, but we must get a cash cargo fast. Now, look. If we ship light to Cork, we could undercut the packet steamers with emigrants. Now, come on, how soon can we turn round?
Well, that depends on the merchant, sir.
Well, have to be within the week. Pick 'em up in the jolly boat. That'll save dues in Cork. I'll be in the harbour office. We can slip and return without any fuss. I'll tell them that we need to put on new sails, try them out outside, right?
What about cruiser?
3 men and a lad should do it.
Aye, aye, sir.
Without so much as a bag of leave, they're here. Couldn't your brother have found a place for them?
Robert's all got to hear the news of the voyage. And me to see the bride?
Penniless, the lot of them. I'm dry. I'll take myself round the corner.
I thought you would.
And mind you take him up to your old book. My room's to remain unchanged.
Yes, Father.
And nothing's to be altered here. Mind that. Miss Onedin?
The bride's returned, then?
Yes, but I haven't a minute to chat. I've letters to write all over. James fell sick with fever and I had to navigate as best I could. And now I'm clerk for the agency. You must forgive the untidiness of things. The housewife must come last.
Well, you look well on it.
I'd no more be single again than... Well, I must guard my tongue lest I give too much away.
No regrets at all?
None whatsoever. If I hadn't gone aboard, I'd have just sat about here waiting for his return. And you? What news of Daniel Fogarty?
He's on his way home from Falmouth.
You must pine for him.
That's my life now. Forever waiting for Daniel to come home.
He's bound to get a command soon.
And then we'll marry, I know.
Any sign of Mr. Fraser?
He asked me to accompany him to the opera, but the family prevailed. I hoped he'd call again, but he hasn't.
What is it?
You look so happy.
Yes, I suppose I am.
So there's nothing, no profit at all for me then?
As you see, the contract states half the profits of the voyage.
The one voyage?
And the profits were none.
You swindle me!
Not I! You were offered a partnership in full, but you'd not help me buy the Charlotte Road, so I made my own arrangements.
Yes, marrying that woman to secure the ship.
I'll give you 150 sovereigns to refit and victual.
And said nothing about paying the allowment notes to Seaman's wife the day they fell due. How do you think I felt? They with children to feed and me with no money to pay them?
Oh, I thought there'd be more than enough.
Don't make matters worse by lying to me, James. You put me in debt and brought not a penny back. Not a penny! It's a disaster and more fool I.
Not so! Look, we have the agency from under Callan's nose. Braganza signed, it's settled. We handle all his wine exclusively, and what's more, we return the empty casks at the same rate as full ones. Now, nobody ever thought of that before.
Yes, but you have no cash.
Yet.
Yes, but you have not even got a beginning. If you are to return his empty casks, you'll have to collect his empties from all over the country, and where are you going to keep them? No, I'm not having them in that there shop.
Calm yourself, Robert. Leave it to me. Now, look. First of all, we store them aboard the ship as the space is vacated. Right? 'Twill be like empties in a shop. Anne's writing now to the wholesalers, and as they increase in number, so we shall have to get a warehouse.
A warehouse?
Well, then a shed at first, then a warehouse.
With what? No, don't tell me. I don't want to know. One venture and nothing gained. Well, I'm out.
Yeah, I thought so.
You thought right. All your eggs in one basket.
Father's phrase.
But what if the Charlotte Rhodes is sunk, delayed, or broke up?
Well, I can charter a ship.
Charter?
And lay off against that eventuality. I do not think in terms of just one ship, but many. And the agency's the kernel of it now. That's the main chance, and I seized it.
But what are you going to do for cash?
Well, the ship will work. She's bound now for Cork. Emigrants.
Emigrants? There's no profit in them.
What, it's a shilling a head? A movable cargo? They've legs that feed themselves?
And women and children?
Ah, 6 months for children.
Oh, where will it end, James? Where will it end?
For you, Robert, if you had the nerve, it's something more than a candler's begging bowl.
James, why are you so anxious to have me as a partner, eh? Why?
You're my brother, Robert. Who else should I want as a partner?
But why do you want a partner? I mean, you manage your affairs, or mismanage them more like, very well enough as it is. No, you want somebody to stay here and pacify your creditors while you're away at sea. You want to be free to play the big merchant or the fancy sea captain, while I stay behind and take all the knocks. Well, no, thank you.
I've just left your wife with 70 letters to write.
70 letters?
The wine wholesalers. Braganza's customers.
Where's Sarah?
She's lying down.
How is Sarah, eh?
7 months gone. And I had a raging toothache last night. Well, it's witchcraft, that's what it is, it's witchcraft.
Has Albert Fraser called on Elizabeth while I've been away?
No, why this sudden interest in Albert Fraser?
His father employs carriers for all his timber yards. Ships pour in from the Baltic all laden with Fraser's timber.
Why should he give you the trade, eh?
Indeed, why should he? Has Daniel Fogarty come home yet?
Did you ask? Her face, long as a fiddle.
Mr. Fogarty, I'll not haze a crew a day from home. 'Tis too close.
They've no grievance, sir.
There's no water.
We've water enough, sir.
Contaminated. I said we'd heave to, till we hailed a passing ship at dawn. 1 cask will do it. It was a mistake to stow paraffin where we did.
Paraffin and water never harmed a fly, sir.
What's the loss of 1 day to a sweet-tempered crew they'll sign on again? We've no hurry.
I've a lady waiting.
Ah, well, mine's hove too.
With permission, the cock of the forecastle's the root of the matter.
Ginger Flynn.
If he moves, they'll all move.
He's a hard man.
And a thick one. Leave him to me, sir.
I don't want a mark on him, mind.
Not a mark that's visible. Permission?
Trouble? Mr. Flynn.
Mr. Fogarty.
I've a mind to raise half a watch.
Jack, now can't work without water. The captain says hove to till dawn till we sight an outward bounder.
Who can't work without water?
Men, that's been promised all night in.
Unless there's volunteers. Volunteers?
And there's not like to be none.
Unless you do.
Not without water.
Delicate, are you?
Heck no, can't be roused.
Or fancy a wager? A night's work for a bet?
Not interested.
Scared of a drop of oil, then?
You try it.
I mean to. I'm in a hurry to be home. I wager I'll drink you 2 for 1 and a bottle of grog for a night's work, half a watch. Here's the water.
But drink that stuff.
You and me, 2 for 1.
Go on, Ginger, he's the grog in his pocket.
It's out of the locker, the same as for me as for you. And here's the bottle.
No, you could never drink that stuff.
Twice as much as you.
And work.
And work. Rope for rope alongside you.
But sure, now you drop.
You drop first.
Go on, Ginger, he choke yourself. Go on, lad,
Go on,
have a
Ginge.
go.
Go on,
go on,
Ginge,
try
have a
it,
go.
Ginge.
And the grog is mine.
To split. You pour.
Go on, lad, have a go. Take him
You
on.
show him, Ginge.
Go on.
He's a man, eh? He's a man. Go on.
Hey.
Come on, Ginger.
Come on, Ginger. Now you.
Now you said 2 to 1, eh?
That's
Hey,
right.
2 to 1 was.
I'll follow.
Fair. Go on, down you go, Ginger.
Come on, Ginger. Straight
Go
back
on,
now,
down,
Ginger.
that's the boy.
Go on,
Hey,
Ginger.
back.
Go on, Ginger.
Well done.
Come on, Ginger.
Good lad. Good lad,
There's a
Ginger.
grand one. Now I pour.
God.
Now you.
Come on, Ginger.
Come on, Ginger. Down it.
God, don't let him
Down it, lad.
Show him you can do it. Go on, Ginger. Come on, lad. Drink it all down. Come on. Move back.
I can't drink no more! I'd rather work!
Now then. Who's to split the bottle?
Over here, Mr. Fogarty, sir.
My cabin. The moment we dock. Hard knock.
I can't drink that stuff.
I drunk yonder. Now I'm gonna work yonder. Lay to!
Ginger, you let us down.
I drunk him drink for drink, but I took the second cup.
The second cup?
Paraffin settles on water. Though I drunk him 2 to 1, he'd the scum and more in his share.
I couldn't drink either.
I'd eaten about a pound of fat for lining, just in case.
And all for the sight of a pretty face.
Mr. Fraser, you've been here half the morning.
And not progressed beyond Mister. Would that I were a knight.
What difference would that make?
At least Sir Albert has more of a ring to it than the unfortunate Mr. Fraser.
Why unfortunate?
Because you continually remind me of how long I've been here.
I've done it but once. And anyway, I'm bespoke, as you've been reminded.
To Captain Fogarty.
He's not captain yet, but he's home from sea and calling here, so take care.
Another rebuff. And will you be bosun, shantyman, and watchkeeper like Anne there? I can hardly picture it.
Nor I.
The salt air plays havoc with the hands, and yours are so fine and delicate.
If you'll excuse me.
No.
Mr. Fraser, I'm to lunch with my fiancé and I haven't even changed. Way to join his employer, Mr. Callan.
Business?
Why, yes.
A business luncheon, you?
Is that so strange? My fiancé has promised to command. Many mates would give a year's pay to be on social terms with their owners.
Oh, dear.
What is it?
I did not think that you would devote yourself so slavishly to profit. One in a family's bad enough.
Mr. Fraser, you forget yourself.
If only I did. I have an obsession, you see. And the only way to deal with one obsession is to substitute it with another.
You bewilder me.
It's you who bewilder me.
When I'm in haste, I've no time to flirt.
A lady who has no time to flirt is hardly alive.
My fiancé's almost due.
Ah, I feared you were under someone's thumb.
I'm under no one's thumb.
And irritated now?
Yes.
You are angry because I've dared to suggest that there is something else in life other than arranged marriages, business luncheons, and appointments conceived for no other purpose than private gain.
Mr.
And
Fraser.
before you interrupt me, oh, you look so pretty when you're angry. Let me tell you further. You are angry because underneath me banter I dare to suggest one more thing. And that is that another's happiness the true fulfillment of a lovely human being, should always be declared, importantly, and at once. I have, as James would say, wasted a morning. But I think not. I have at last declared myself. There are other points to the compass, besides profit and loss.
Your wife is kindly teaching me to read, you see. Head.
Hedge. Hog. Hedgehog.
Hedgehog. That's right. Look, there's a picture of it just after the squirrel. Baltic. We're going after timber now, are we?
That depends on Mr. Albert Fraser.
Well, she's been called often enough, but she's dallied all morning. Elizabeth! Elizabeth, Daniel's waiting!
I've had to wait long enough for him.
At last. Whose is this?
Please don't finger it.
Finger it?
If you rub against the nap, it marks.
I'll mark it.
Please, it's not made of sailcloth.
I'm in such a mind, I'm half a mind to...
Pray control yourself. Give it to me.
Whose is it?
Belongs to Mr. Fraser.
Him again? Then he can pick it up! What was he doing here?
He called to see Robert. It's very amusing.
Didn't you say we were to meet for lunch? Well, why weren't you changed and ready? Well, answer me! Has Fraser stolen your tongue as well as your sense of obligation? Most important meeting in my career. You're late and made me into a foul humour. Days at sea and then home to this. I dare say I've not given one thought to what might be said.
Said?
At luncheon, Mr. Callan is my employer. You might at least give thought of things to say. It's important he's amused and taken with us.
Taken with us?
Commands are not easy to come by. Ship's captains are no longer required to be plain sailing masters and no else. Owners want men who can negotiate and mix socially.
Socially?
Well, that's why married men are all the more desirable. They've more to come home to and more to skimp for. This luncheon's an honour, and Mr. Callan's way of finding out. Well, if we leave now, we'll be on time. Just! Step lively, then.
My appetite's deserted me.
The food's not important.
I've nothing to say that's amusing.
Be there, it's enough.
And if I say no?
Elizabeth, you've maddened me enough. Will not be spared the expense of a cab as it is.
No.
Elizabeth.
I'm not coming.
Time for tantrums after I'm in a haste.
No!
Have you forgot we're bespoke?
In name.
Please. Say what you wish. Attack me, malign me, sing your pretty gentleman's praises. I'll even buy me a fancy hat. But after 1 o'clock. I beg of you. If I'm boorish, 'tis because I'm ill at ease and no hand at tittle-tattle. We've discussed all that. But now,
You'll be late for your luncheon, you two.
oh, she's in a tantrum.
I am not in a tantrum!
I'll summon a cab.
I'm not going. And that's that.
Now, come on, this family's offended Callan enough as it is. Come on, muddle yourself off and no more said. Come on.
No appetite for luncheon.
But Daniel!
Nor him either!
Elizabeth!
your jacket?
Well?
Ship's masters may remove their jackets, but not ship's owners. Is Robert still undecided about the partnership?
If, buts and maybe. I've been to see Albert Fraser. I've arranged to meet him again.
The Baltic trade?
He talks of nothing but Elizabeth.
Oh?
Fraser's are well established, and not only in shipbuilding. Their insurers have shares in ships, staff of over 100, excluding Sawyer's.
There's a wage bill. Father?
Good without me, I see. Shirt sleeves. Normally, we see Grace.
We never did on weekdays. Eat while it's hot.
It's too blamed hot. I wonder you didn't bring your casks home with you. Have you cleared them yet?
Last batch today.
Cash or credit?
Whichever's preferred.
Well, what next?
Short voyage.
Cash trade? Thought so, where?
Let him have a moment's peace.
Well, it's my ship, or was.
Your dish will be cool now. Try it.
Very good. Very good. But you'll not get round me, I warn you.
Well? Is it to your liking? I've more room to cook here than on board. I thought perhaps it was too savoury.
As long as it'll not interrupt the afternoon's labours.
Salt tack tomorrow, then.
Yeah, it's better than he deserves.
Thinking of Elizabeth. I doubt she can cook so well.
Oh, it is to your liking, then?
Oh, not bad.
You'll be billing and cooing by Christmas.
You see, I place a great emphasis on my captain's ladies. A man's wife should be a reflection of himself, and vice versa, of course. Indisposed, you say?
I'm afraid so, Mr. Callan.
Sickly, is she?
Just a turn.
Local lass?
Yes.
And this Miss, it is Miss, isn't it?
Onedin.
James Onedin's sister?
Yes.
No.
Well then, Mr. Callan, I can give you my full attention.
Go away and come back later. You know what you're doing, don't you? I say that because I've a very high opinion of you. If you haven't a captain's braid within a voyage, you've only yourself to blame.
Voyage?
As close as that, yes. I've had reports of you from every shipmaster you worked under, and there's not one of them that's not been first class. But I can see I shall have to tread lightly. I think perhaps we'd better have some lubrication. Bring us a bottle of red and none of your Portuguese muck. French.
Certainly, sir.
Well, no need any, eh?
I know James has given you cause for offence, Mr. Callan, but...
Oh, say no more about that. That's dealt with, or will be, as soon as I get round to flea bites. No, it's you I'm thinking of, my boy. So she's James Onedin's sister. Well...
Can't have a word said against her, Mr. Callan.
I know, and I respect you for that. But? Well, it's a little delicate. I'd pour it. I can't drink through glass. She's not indisposed on Miss Master James's account, is she?
I don't understand you, Mr. Callan.
Strapped to the bootlaces for cash. He had to pay his harbour dues with foreign currency, practically. Didn't you know that?
No.
And now he's chasing after Jack Fraser's son.
Albert Fraser?
With a view to getting his nose into the Baltic trade. Oh, he's fly, is our Master James. He got his ship with a wife, and, putting it bluntly, who knows what he'd do with his sister? Indisposed, you say? Well, it's grieving to both of us to talk this way, so I'll stop it. Now, business. Supposing you're carrying ballast in a big, full-rigged ship, 2,000 tons or so, with shingle for ballast. List the precautions, 1, 2, 3.
Shingle?
Quick now.
The ballast must not be carried too low.
Right.
The ballast box must be strong at the fore and aft ends.
And
then the surface of the ballast should be smoothed off, covered with timber, and tom from the tween-deck beams.
To the letter. Oh, you don't happen to know what cargo James Onedin is carrying next to you?
No.
Oh. Well, I think perhaps we better order. Clams, I think. I like clams for captains. And I know one captain is going to have a very busy afternoon.
We can't have them aboard. We've just unshipped.
Well, they can't leave them on the jetty.
Mr. Watson told me to get them on board today.
Can't put them on the jetty either.
I had to go up to Callan's Yard to get the extras. His express orders.
He says they'll have to come aboard, and they've gone and got extras from Callan's Yard as well.
But why?
Simple. Callan's flooding us with empty casks so that we can't work the ship.
Can't you store them?
My brother hasn't got rum.
Rent a warehouse.
Aye, well, we haven't got around to that yet.
Then you must.
Can't take them to Ireland.
You can leave them in my yard for a week. My father wouldn't want to offend Callan, but he's away.
Do you mean that?
For a week, I said.
I know. Right. Tell the drayman to look sharp.
No. No, let me.
Thank you very much, sir.
Easy when you know how.
Better come up yourself and see them stowed. I've other things to discuss.
I'm obliged to you, Fraser.
You can't blame Callan, you know. You did take the wine contract away from him.
You better slip on tomorrow's tide and stay aboard as watchman tonight.
Pray do not think me flirtatious when I am but gay, eager to please when the mood suits me. And you are you, never seen but with the worries of the sea upon you, brusque with the manner of your calling that I know so well, and sometimes, forgive me, tire of. Born as we are into our circumstances, we can help ourselves but little. And yet, please to remember, dear Daniel, 'tis the man to whom I am bespoke, and not the master. Ships, courses, and customs only take you further away from me. Goodness, now you're chimney sweep as well.
Oh, I didn't expect you.
Robert said James was seeing Albert Fraser. I've brought his hat.
His hat?
He called and left it behind this morning.
They're at the ship.
Oh.
And I'm busy.
I'd best go then.
Well, you better not go to the dock dressed so.
Why ever not?
For fear it...
What?
Please yourself.
You'd make a skivvy of yourself for a man. Do anything.
I make my way as best I can.
Went about an hour ago, Mr. Fraser and your brothers.
Will they be back?
I shouldn't think so. I'm left as watchman. I wanted to go ashore myself as well. Did you come down here on your own, miss?
Yes.
It'll be dark before you're back.
Well, I'm perfectly capable of
Not
finding...
down here, miss, as the clipper just put in from Frisco further along. Channel fever on all of them. It'll be wild tonight along the dock.
Nonsense. I shall return the way I came.
The captain will have my life for letting you go, miss.
Am I to spend the night here?
Well, not the night, but if you care to sit, I'll brew up and call a cab to take you back later.
Can't you call me one now?
Well, no, the cabs won't come near this part of the dock till the clipper's paid off. You just give it an hour to settle, and then I'll take another look.
An hour? Oh, bother.
Mrs. Onedin gave me a start in the book learning, the shape of words and that. There's one or two here I can't quite make head nor tail of.
Oh, very well.
Out? Where?
Oh, she's returning Mr. Fraser's hat. My, have you come in with a command then? Will your luncheon drive you so soon to the tailor's?
Keep your quips for the shoppies. I want to know where your sister is.
Mr. Fogarty, I'm the head of this household and I'm responsible.
Where is she, man?
She went to see Anne at Captain Webster's. Give folks some manners for where they belong.
And then the cat said, oh.
I see absolutely no reason why you can't call me a cab at once.
All right, miss, I'll go and take another look topsides.
I shall be perfectly safe here. You can secure the door behind you.
Very well, miss.
Who is it?
I went to Roberts, and so Anne. Did Albert Fraser turn you away? Too busy?
I'll thank you to mind your manners.
Is that all? And I've done myself up like a powder puff.
I ordered Mr. Baines to get me a cab.
Countermanded.
I gave him a shilling.
And I gave him 2 shillings.
I distinctly told him I wanted...
He thought us bespoke.
Very well, you can take me home.
And am I to be grateful for that? And nothing more to say? I thought first I'd tell her what I think of her. I went to my lodgings, I found your letters, and I read them over. Oh, not that I haven't read them 100 times. Every report I touch. As soon as a bolt put out or a point sighted, when I think, letters from her. More fool I thought.
We can talk about it again.
No, now.
Oh, not here, please.
Here! There's 1,000 things I don't mind telling you. A change in the wind, that's what's come over her. A sea change.
It's nothing to do with the sea.
Put myself to wry expense with the fancy dress then.
I didn't ask you.
No, but I did. More fool I again.
Oh, please, Daniel.
It's all that on a sideboard. There's a sore sight for a sailorman.
It has nothing
to do with the sea.
You've no business to order me about.
Well, you should behave like a wharf slut. If you knew how much it meant to me. It was a seaman you got yourself bespoke to. A seaman you penned your letters to, and a seaman you let down. And if that's not a slut's behaviour on the day, I'll know what is.
I'll not be owned, paraded as a possession.
You'll stand to and like it.
How dare you!
Then it came to me. It's James doing.
It's nothing to do with James.
Are the Fraser's yards not bespoke then? Didn't James marry the ready script? We standing in the cause of profit. And I'd have you do the same. What's the sacrifice of a sister for a shipyard when Fraser has no brothers? Well, you're worse than a slut, you're a fool as well. I'm surprised he hasn't offered me discount on me ring. Here. Take these to get a better grip with. There's enough lies in them.
Oh!
If you were a common woman, you'd have more stick and thrive than it, I dare say.
As every second passes, you make me dislike you all the more.
Aye. And me too.
Please take me home.
With what?
Say it was a mistake. Part civilized and harm ourselves no more.
Aye. I never wrote to you.
I'm sorry. I am sorry. This morning I was dressed and ready. But I'll not be used. And Mr. Fraser pleases me, that's true. If you understand anything, can't you see how sick I am of the chandler's shop and all the commerce of the sea? If you'd never yearned to go to other places, you'd never have sailed away. And me too. But to be courted is not commanded.
Then why go back? For your own safety.
No. Because you're an oaf. You think your letters went unread. Others see the captain. I see the scrubbed orphan with his plate outstretched. The waif of the board school, parentless and graceless, banded about the world like so much chaff.
I never whine of that.
'Tis your only commendation.
Then why come back? To torture me further?
No. Because you're a man. And a fool. Well, you are a man. And I dare say I'll never meet one more honest.
Then we're marrying?
No.
Oh, Elizabeth.
There are things we never speak of and daren't. But for all our silence, sometimes we know. And I dare say our compassion is as good a reason as any.
Reason for what?
For ending our ignorance of each other.
Will Albert Fraser charge you for stowing the casks?
More than predisposed to help.
Lucky then. Twice over.
Your mother's rings are safe yet.
And your sister's?
If you don't want to go in alone,
No, I'd rather. Good night, Daniel.
Good night.
Let go aft. Haul in starn rope.
Organ aft.
Albert Fraser's hat. You might return it to him. I'm sure you welcome any opportunity for words with such an influential man.
Sail your own ship, James. Elizabeth and I can manage our own affairs.
If Elizabeth chooses to marry you.
She has chosen. Good morning to you.
Blasted casks. It's bad enough having an upstart merchantman for a son-in-law without him turning me quarters into a warehouse.
Business, Father, until James finds a suitable repository.
Can't even get out to the petty without fighting my way through pyramids of empties. They'll be lodged in the bedrooms next, I shouldn't wonder.
Father, do stop grumbling. Another new suit.
A gentleman is expected to cut a figure, a point which seems to be lost on that penny-pinching husband of yours, doling out his miserable half-guinea a week, keeping a man of substance on short commons, robbing me of my ship, turning me only daughter's head with fine-sounding promises.
Where are you getting all this money from?
That whippersnapper James is not the only one with its head screwed on the right way.
And a new watch.
Even a gentleman wants to know the time upon occasions. 4 bells. I'll be off to be constitutional.
Not until I know where this money's coming from. If you're running us into debt, James...
I spend my own money in my own way and account to no man. Be small to that jumped-up jack and boots of a son-in-law.
James has kept his side of the bargain. He promised to take care of you, and he's doing so.
Then I shall be a burden upon him no longer. Tonight I'm dining with friends, real friends, who know a man's worth.
You'll not be late.
I come and go as I please in my own house. Thank you very kindly.
My, we do look smart this evening.
Blasted casks.
Our father seems to have found the Midas touch. Wish I had his good fortune.
He must be borrowing it.
Well, I'll not be responsible for his debts.
But James, if he's
running... I've other things on my mind. See, the Braganza's casks are arriving by the cartload. I need to get a warehouse. And then more ships.
Sometimes, James, I think you're inhuman.
What?
Your entire concern is with warehouses, casks and ships.
Well, what else should concern me? I grant you, the coastal trade doesn't bring in much profit. Coals to Ireland, salt to the Isle of Man's hardly going to keep us in the lap of luxury, but it is a beginning.
You're never at home.
You call this a home? Now, you're right. We should look for other lodgings.
What, rent to pay, furniture to buy?
Nah, living in your father's house. You need a home of your own to look after.
What we need and what we get are two different... No, you'll ruin the bread. You'll ruin us all, James. My father, your brother Robert. The trouble is, you never listen. You listen to no one but James Onedin.
You're right. There's only one thing for it. We must get a warehouse.
We've no money to rent even a house, and you talk of renting a warehouse.
Buying a warehouse.
Buying a warehouse? And where would you hope to find such premises?
As Jack walked one morning, Point Beach up and down, he spied pretty Polly of Mary Portsmouth town. As soon as Jack seen her...
All rubbish. Hardly worth the handling. You ought to be paying me to take this lot from you. 3 shillings the lot.
Well, what do you think of it?
But it's a rag and boneyard. You can't be serious.
Yes, I am.
But what about them? You can't have them in here and your casks.
They'll have to sort their rags some other place, won't they?
What, you throw them out?
Look, let's not jump our fence. This lady over there may well be the owner.
Indeed, money isn't always in the pocket of fine clothes.
Yes, gentlemen. How can I oblige? Brassware? Clothes of shoddy? Or shoes as good as new for your workers?
Are you the owner?
Me? No, I'm not. If you're a pair of jacks, you'll find everything in order here. This is no swag shop. Here are gambles as honest as the day is long.
No, we're not a pair of jacks.
I knew it the moment I set eyes on you. There, I said to myself, is a fine pair of gentlemen. Get back to your work or I'll have this scalp the hide off you. Can't trust him an inch, sir.
Your overheads must be quite high.
What?
Your landlord must charge a pretty high rent.
Oh, I couldn't afford high rent, sir. No, I will say this for Mr. Arkwright. He was a true benefactor, if ever there was one. A true benefactor.
Was, did you say?
He passed on. God rest his unhappy soul.
Yeah. Well, then, to whom do you pay your accounts, eh?
To the collector, of course. 7 shillings a week, regular as clockwork.
But on whose account does he collect?
Mrs. Arkwright. He was a grand employer, but she outlived him. She'd outlive the devil herself, I think.
Are we acquainted with a Mr. Onedin?
I don't think so, Mrs. Arkwright.
Here, what do you make of it?
He asked for the favour of an appointment.
I know that, you fool.
Upon a matter of business.
Business? What do I know of business matters? Is he a gentleman, do you think?
Well,
I doubt it. No gentleman could possibly write so legible a hand. A professional man?
Yes, possibly.
I'll not have tradesmen under my roof, Simmons.
Yes, Mrs. Arkwright. I shall write to the gentleman, explaining that you're indisposed.
You'll
and
do
that
nothing
you
of the sort. I shall write to him myself. I shall reply in polite but vague terms, inquiring as to the nature of his business.
All right, you leave it there. I'll help myself.
I don't care.
Not so loud.
If you think more of me than your ship, we shall marry right away.
The banns must first be announced. That would take 3 weeks. I shan't be ashore that long. Be reasonable, sweetheart.
Reasonable. You ask me to be reasonable after... Do you understand?
We've been through all this before. Mr. Callan has given me his word, and the moment I am master...
I've heard the same song for the past 18 months, and I'm tired.
Promise.
Oh, you're quick enough with your promises, Daniel Fogarty. When we were together in the ship's cabin, you were only too eager to promise me the world.
And I meant every word.
You pleaded your case very well.
You were not averse.
The situation between us changed that night. Surely you must see that. We must be married now.
And we will be, as soon as Mr. Callan makes me master.
Captain Webster.
Mr. Fraser, evening to you, sir, evening.
Doing yourself proud, has he?
Oh, just a tap upon the table, sir, no more. I believe I owe you an account, sir. Your father, that is. I've been meaning to drop in at the shipyard for some time.
This is not my place of business, sir.
A year or two back, sir, it must have slipped my memory. £7 and 10 shillings, I think. Work on my ship. Excellent work, sir. Couldn't ask for better. No praise too high.
If you'll call upon my father's clerk in the morning, sir. Good night to you, sir.
Oh, Mr. Fraser, what a delightful surprise.
Miss Elizabeth. Mr. Fogarty.
If you're unaccompanied, Mr. Fraser, perhaps you'll join us.
I am unaccompanied, yes, so if I may.
Oh, please do.
I shall commence with the same course. Then you may not claim the advantage of me.
We're having the saddle of mutton.
Then to our muttons let it be. Ah, a still wine, I see. An excellent aid to the digestion, I always think. But for good fellowship, one can't beat the bubbly. A bottle of the widow, if you please. Will you be sailing soon, Mr. Fogarty?
Within the next day or two, the moment the wind shifts.
How long will you be away, Daniel?
To Oslo and back, a matter of weeks.
I've heard you're to be made master soon, Mr. Fogarty.
Mr. Callan has promised me the first available berth.
If he keeps his promise.
I've always found Mr. Callan to be a man of his word, sir.
It's a rare quality in the world of commerce. But allow me to offer you my congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
And then we're to be married.
My felicitations to you both. Has Mr. Callan named the date of your promotion? Thank you, I'm sure that'll be absolutely splendid. Well, to the bonds of matrimony, true love and ambition, formidable partnership.
You must lie abed today, my love.
What about your breakfast?
There's nothing wrong with Elizabeth's cooking that a good healthy appetite won't cure.
Oh, and
on earth is that at this time of the morning?
It's James. Is there no peace from the man? All right, I'll be down directly.
Oh, Elizabeth. How thoughtful of you.
Is it all right?
I think I should call the midwife.
She won't come until it's time.
Confound that man. Has he no patience? Now think, oh, my love. You lie abed today, do you?
Yes, Robert. And no more partnerships with your brother James.
Do you take me for that much of a fool? All right, I'm coming.
Does it hurt much?
At times. But don't tell Robert. You know what a worry he is. He thinks I'm undergoing pleasant sensations and he's the one that's doing all the suffering.
Aren't you frightened?
I'm looking forward to it, really.
Sarah. How did you first know?
Elizabeth, you shouldn't ask such questions till after you're married.
Mr. Onedin? I did not invite him here. Mr. James Onedin presents his compliments and asks that he and Mr. Robert Onedin may be granted the favor of a few minutes' conversation. Impertinence. I've a mind to send him packing. Ethel, you may show the gentleman in, and we shall take tea.
Mrs. Arkwright, it occurs to me
What?
that... Oh, nothing.
Then hold your tongue.
Yes.
The gentleman, ma'am.
It's quite impossible to find a decent class of servant these days.
Yes, I apologize for the inconvenience of the hour, Mrs. Arkwright. May I present Mr. Robert Onedin, my brother and business partner?
And you, I take it, are Mr. James Onedin?
Mrs. Arkwright.
My companion, Miss Simmons. What is the nature of the business which brings you here so hot foot, Mr. Onedin?
Well, I have an interest in shipping.
What sort of interest?
I am an owner, madam.
I have no such interest, so far as I'm aware. And when it comes to matters of business, I prefer to be represented by my lawyer.
Oh, I would agree, Mrs. Arkwright, that once we have established grounds for negotiations, lawyers may very well be necessary to protect our mutual interests. But at the moment, I'd consider them both a waste of time and money.
Your time and my money, no doubt.
My time I find to be a commodity in increasingly short supply.
Is your brother the silent partner?
My brother had the consideration to accompany me out of his high regard for the proprieties.
Oh?
A lady so recently bereaved might not have cared to receive a gentleman unaccompanied.
You show great delicacy of feeling. It does you credit.
Wonder if we might have a few moments' private conversation.
If Mr. Onedin has a botanical interest, I'm sure that Miss Simmons would deem it a pleasure to conduct him to the conservatory.
I should be more than delighted.
There's no reason to remain standing, Mr. Onedin. Now, what is this business you wish to discuss?
Oh, they are fine plants.
Yes.
They're very fine plants. Is gardening one of your interests, Miss Simmons?
Yes.
Oh. Well, they are. They're very fine plants.
That is the eucalyptus.
Oh, well, I wouldn't have known. No, I wouldn't have known that.
It's from Australia and said to be of great economic importance.
Oh, you don't say.
Many species produce valuable timber and oils of various kinds.
Eucalyptus oil?
And menthol?
Of course! You...
And thymol.
Oh, upon my soul, I would never have known that. Oh, I'm extremely sorry.
That's an aspidestra.
Well, I thought they grew them in pots in the foyers of the better class hotels.
And in front parlours.
And Mrs. Gamble is guaranteed tenure at a fixed rate of 7 shillings a week.
You are well informed, Mr. Onedin.
Well, I can see that the presence of Mrs. Gamble in the articles of her trade might prove to be a stumbling block if you ever considered selling the warehouse. You have considered selling it, I take it.
Mr. Onedin, since the death of my husband, I've not been well enough to consider mundane matters of business.
I believe, however, that you did have an offer from Mr. Callan.
Oh, yes, that's right. I'd quite forgotten.
But on learning that he couldn't get rid of Mrs. Gamble, he withdrew his offer.
You said that you had a figure in mind, Mr. Onedin.
Yes, I have. £200.
£200?
A fair offer. Little above market value, I'd say.
Darjeeling, Mr. Onedin?
I prefer it.
Thank you, Ethel. Cream.
Thank you.
You may have the warehouse, Mr. Onedin, for £650.
James!
Ask those gentlemen to keep their voices down, will you, dear? There, my little love. The first one is always by far the worst. Come on now.
You, Miss Simmons seems to have taken quite a fancy to you, Robert.
What?
Well, laughing and giggling away there in the conservatory. I think you've made a conquest.
How can you say such a thing, James, with Sarah up
Keep
there?
your voices down.
Oh.
Have you no thought of anybody but yourselves?
How is she? Is she all right?
Does that sound as though she's all right? You should be praying for her, not arguing with him.
Time she was married.
Listen to me, James. Miss Simmons is a lady of retiring disposition and great delicacy of nature.
Yes, I know.
And you're as cold-blooded as a fish.
Listen, Robert. The mind can only concentrate fully upon one problem at a time. My immediate problem is the acquisition of a warehouse.
Oh.
Now, why does Mrs. Arkwright require £650? Why that precise sum?
The problem is not why Mrs. Arkwright requires £650, but where are you going to lay hands on such a sum?
But I'd lay a guinea that Miss Simmons knows the reason why.
Miss Simmons? Well, she's not likely to discuss her employer's business with me.
But there'd be no harm in you talking to her.
But James, I am a married man! Oh, James.
More than that, you're a father.
Mr. Onedin? I received your little note, Mr. Onedin. Such a mysterious billet-doux.
My intentions are strictly honourable, Miss Simmons.
Oh, but of course, Mr. Onedin. I should not have come had I imagined otherwise.
Quite.
I flatter myself that I'm a fair judge of character, though not wholly accustomed to the attentions of the stronger sex.
I assure you, Miss Simmons.
But I read you instantly as a man of heart and sensibility.
But I know a little tea shop where we can talk.
was most kind of you to give me so much of your time, Miss Simmons.
Oh, it's most kind of you to ask me, Mr. Onedin. I'm usually at quite a loose end on my free afternoon. I have one free afternoon a month.
Is that all?
Well, I'm not a servant, Mr. Onedin.
Oh, no, of course not. I merely meant that, a lady of your...
Yes?
Well, of your attainments would find herself a better occupation than sitting in a tea shop with a stale old bun like myself.
Oh, but I do not think you a stale old bun, Mr. Onedin. I think you're a kind and generous man.
Oh, dear. I hesitate to ask.
Oh, but you must. Oh, I'm overwhelmed with curiosity. It was such a mysterious note and on such short acquaintance.
It was unforgivable of me.
Oh, no. You're more than forgiven. Would you think it forward of me if I were to call you by your Christian name? It's Robert, isn't it?
Yes.
Robert. Oh, that's a fine, manly name. Robert. Mine is Enid. More tea?
Oh, thank you. Miss Simmons. Miss Simmons.
Yes?
Mrs. Arkwright. She lives alone.
Oh, quite alone, except, of course, for myself and the servants.
But it is not her house, is it?
Oh, no. Mr. Arkwright left the house in trust for his married daughter.
That was awkward for her.
Oh, well, Mrs. Arkwright is allowed to live in the house rent-free for as long as she chooses.
Oh, I see. Like the Amazon in the warehouse.
Have you met Mrs. Gamble? Oh, she's a dreadful, vulgar woman. Oh, thank you. But you see, Mr. Arkwright was determined to make provision for all his workers.
And for his wife?
Oh, well, she has a small income from shares in a railway company, I believe, but it isn't enough for her to realise her dearest wish.
Oh, which is?
You see, Mrs. Arkwright is of French extraction, and she's often expressed a desire of one day returning to live in France. In La Rochelle.
Oh, La Rochelle?
Oh, she was born and spent her childhood there.
Oh, well, why didn't she go?
Well, she'd need to buy a residence, you see.
Oh, I see. That's why she needs the 650 pounds. Will you go with her?
Oh, no. She'll travel alone. She's made that matter quite plain.
And what will become of you?
I shall manage.
You have friends, relatives.
I'm quite alone.
But you have money saved.
No, I'm an unpaid companion, you see.
But surely she won't pitch you out into the street?
An employer is not required to justify his actions to an employee, Robert.
No, of course not. I know that, but it's monstrous. Well, believe me, Miss Simmons, I shall do everything in my power to see that you do not suffer the consequences of the offence. Mr. Cullen. Mr. Cullen, may I present Miss Simmons? Miss Simmons, Mr. Cullen.
More than delighted to make the acquaintance of such a charming companion.
Yes, well, it's purely a matter of business, Mr. Cullen. A matter of business.
Business? Nay, you pay the lady a poor compliment, Robert.
No, it's perfectly true. You see, Miss Simmons and I were discussing the warehouse, were we not, Miss Simmons?
Well, that's an odd topic of conversation for a tete-a-tete.
No, you see, it's James' idea, you see. Mrs. Arkwright wishes to sell...
Sam Arkwright's old place, eh? So you're acting on behalf of Mrs. Arkwright, are you, Miss Simmons?
Yes. No, that is, yes and no.
Oh.
You see, it was a chance meeting and a cup of tea and private conversation.
Oh, well, I no wish to intrude on your private business, Robert, my boy. My regards to your wife.
Thank you, I will convey them.
And I understand you're to be congratulated. A fine, bouncing boy, eh?
£7, 12 ounces.
Yes, another little Onedin to plague us, eh? Well, good day, Miss Simmons. I'm delighted to have made your acquaintance. Robert?
Mr. Cullen. Miss Simmons, I beg of you
tea, Mr. Onedin. I trust you have all the information you require.
Miss Simmons, I meant every word that I... Miss Simmons... Damn James and his blasted schemes.
You blabbermouth!
It was a most embarrassing situation.
Tell Callan of all people that I've got my eye on that warehouse.
Damn you and your warehouse, James! I'll never be able to look that woman in the face again.
And are you sure Callan knows nothing of Mrs. Arkwright's desire to live in La Rochelle?
I'm positive.
Well, that's something. La Rochelle. Right. Delrow. Monsieur Delrow, right?
What?
Man I know. Deals in property in Bordeaux.
Come now, my pretty, you mustn't be seen weeping.
How long are you going to be away?
Not long, only across the North Sea for timber.
How long?
A month, less with luck. You there, put your back into it, you idle scouring!
And we are to be married the moment you return.
Of course. There, my love, you must accustom yourself to partings. We can't have a bold captain's wife smuffling on the quayside.
You're not a captain yet.
No, not yet, dear.
And I'm not yet your wife.
No, not yet.
If you think I'll wait forever, you're vastly mistaken. I'll be at no man's beck and call.
No one expects you to be so.
You clumsy, lazy, frostbitten lopers. You dozy, idle, mother-forsaken Irishman. Still your government said you work out smart, you. Most enliven them up there. The stupid, lovely, thick-headed jabbernows that ever we've got here.
I'm sorry, my love, but a dockside is no place for a lady. I really must go aboard.
Then please do so.
You will wait for me.
Daniel, there's something I have to tell you.
What is it?
I think I'm going to have...
Mr. Fogarty, is it your pleasure to sail with us, or do you intend to go barnacles ashore?
I really must go aboard, dear, at once.
Daniel, wait!
Remember to write!
Daniel! Daniel!
Our profit to date is £37.
I thought it nearer to 70 or 80.
You hadn't taken these into account.
Bills.
Aye. There's one here for £12 for cooperage alone.
£37.
You'd do well to forget your warehouse for a while.
No. I'll find the money somehow.
No, thank you, James. Look, I do not pretend to understand what a limited company means, but I want no part of it. Do you know that I owe £13 from our partnership? Do you know that?
Yeah, but this time you shall incur no debts.
I shall not, because I shall not be involved.
Look, this new Act of Parliament is designed specifically to limit the liability of shareholders such as yourself.
Not a penny, James, not another penny more.
Robert, listen to James.
You're the one that's always telling me not to be involved in James and his harebrained schemes.
Look, with a limited liability company, a shareholder can only be asked to forfeit his original investment.
Investment? Ah, you are asking for money.
Not a penny piece. Look, you shall have a seat on the board of directors and 15% shareholdings.
What board of directors?
You and I, that's all the law requires.
15%, is that all? Then who gets all the... No, don't tell me. You do.
Oh, look, damn it, man, I do all the work.
Then now, why not keep all yourself?
Hush, Robert. Remember the baby.
Because I'm thinking of your son, Robert, and his future. And how is the youngest of the Onedins, eh?
He's got lungs of brass as well.
Yeah, kept us awake all last night.
And such a monstrous appetite. What do you think of that, you little monster? Your father a company director.
Oh. He's a little choke. And
be no further call on my pocket. I shall want it in writing.
I shall have lawyers draw up articles of association right away. You can have your copy checked by any lawyer that takes your fancy.
Because I know you of old, James. There's more in this than meets the eye. It is that warehouse, isn't it?
Yes. I intend to buy it.
How do you propose to raise this money?
Right. The company borrows on its assets by ship. I stand to lose most, therefore I take most. And I shall go ahead with or without you, Robert.
Look, she's asking £650. Now, you'll not raise that sum of money against the Charlotte Road.
No, I shall raise 250 against her, and another 200 by mortgaging the warehouse itself.
And that comes to £450. Mrs. Arkwright is asking for £650.
Leave that problem with me, will you?
All right. There is just one thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
What about Miss Simmons?
You're not really smitten with that lady, are you?
Look, I just feel sorry for that poor woman, that's all, nothing more.
What do you want for this Miss Simmons, eh?
That if Mrs. Arkwright refuses to take her to France with her, she will be found a suitable position. Otherwise, that poor woman will be left to destitution.
Look, when will you learn not to meddle in other people's affairs, Robert?
James.
Very well. I shall find Miss Simmons a suitable position.
I have your word.
Mm-hmm.
You lazy cow! If I catch you launching outside again, you'll feel the black fly snap across the backside, I tell you. You can't get away from it. Yes, lady. And how can I oblige? Anything you fancy? All goods, highly recommended.
And my husband is interested in purchasing these premises. I thought I might take a look around. I'm Mrs. Onedin.
Oh, make yourself at home, Mrs. I shall take a mug of tea.
No, thank you, Mrs. Gamble.
Perhaps a drop of something to cut the phlegm. I don't usually indulge myself, but I do find a drop of Hollands an excellent remedy for the tubes. It's the dust in the atmosphere, you see.
A drop of soap and water and a bucket of tow whitewash would do more to settle the dust than an ocean of alcohol.
Damp floors and a cold night air's taken many a poor soul to a maker.
Do you mean they sleep here?
Well, where else would they sleep? In a rookery? 30 to a room and open to all the vices of mankind. No, here they're well fed, well paid, and snug as so many bugs in a rug.
And what is the purpose of the strap?
To vigorate 'em, ma'am. Oh, God bless you, lady. They're better off than pigeons in a roost. See you've a sharp eye for a bargain, lady. That comes from the house of one of the nobility.
Whose country seat would appear to be in Birmingham.
Leave that alone. Now, there's a prettier pair of candlesticks as I ever set eyes upon. You wouldn't find more sumptuous objects than the treasure house of Solomon himself.
How much?
Now, there's a question I'm hard put to answer. Taking into consideration the workmanship and garnishments.
How much?
Oh, I couldn't possibly take less than £2 a pair.
They're obviously of more value to you than to me. Good afternoon, Mrs. Gamble.
Well, now, don't be too hasty, lady. For the sake of goodwill, I'll cut my losses. 18 and 6.
8 and 6.
Done. You're driving a hard bargain, lady.
Think yourself fortunate you're not dealing with my husband. He takes hoof, hide and hair.
Ma'am.
Onedin wishes to favour us with another visit. Very well, Ethel, you may show the gentleman in.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Onedin,
I've come to make further offer for the warehouse.
you agree to the price?
Your price, as I understand it, is the acquisition of a suitable residence in France. La Rochelle?
You've had the effrontery to pry into my private affairs.
It's a plain matter of business.
Where did you come by this information?
In exchange for the warehouse, I'll undertake to purchase this suitable residence, ship you and your goods free of charge to La Rochelle.
You may leave us, Simmons. I will speak to you later. A suitable property in La Rochelle? And a free passage?
That's right.
Since you last came, I've had a better offer. £700 in cash.
Oh, no man in his senses would pay You did this better offer come from a Mr. Callan? I'll see that it did. Well, I can tell you, Mrs. Arkwright, that offer is worthless.
I have it in writing.
May I see it? Just put a letter.
£700. It's there in black and white.
Subject to contract. A lawyer's trick. Has your own lawyer advised you?
No.
Well, I should consult him without delay.
You say this offer is worthless?
In my opinion,
Well, why should Mr. Callan make such an offer?
to push my nose out of joint.
Your enemies.
Rivals.
Subject to contract.
Means what it says, no more, no less. Callan can withdraw his offer the moment that you reject mine. I'll sail within the week.
I know that you've forced Mrs. Arkwright to sell you the warehouse, but where are you going to find storage space for your casks with Mrs. Gamble and her drudges still in possession?
Well, I shall have them out.
But how? Neither Mrs. Arkwright nor Mr. Callan could find a loophole in the covenant. How can you hope to?
Documents are drawn up by lawyers for lawyers. More ways of killing a pig than choking it with butter.
But how?
I don't know. Yet.
I think I've struck an even better bargain than I expected.
Huh?
I thought these were plated, but unless I'm mistaken, that's the silver mark of the Chester Assay offices. I think these sconces are solid silver.
Wonder Mrs. Gamble knew their true value.
She named a high price for junk. She wanted £2 at first, but settled for 8 and 6.
Did she now?
Who in their right mind would throw out silver candlesticks?
Anne, you're a heaven-born genius.
James, where are you going?
What?
A thief's kitchen. You are a fence.
You can't say things like that. You're taking away my character.
Well, then explain this.
Oh, I came in with the junk. It's them junk men. Thieves, every one of them.
Ah, so you deal with known thieves,
I didn't
do you?
say that.
Well, then you wouldn't mind an officer of the law coming to search these premises, would you?
Oh, I've never knowingly bought nothing from nobody, knowing it to be stole.
Well, then you've nothing to be afraid of, have you? In fact, you could perform a public service by laying on information.
What?
Against those rogues who've taken advantage of your good nature.
Oh, I couldn't do that. I'd wake up one fine morning with my throat slit.
You set me a pretty problem, Mrs. Gamble, you know. I can't possibly allow my good name to be tarnished by allowing these premises to be used by thieves and rogues. Well, my duty's plain.
Oh, just a minute, sir. Oh, I don't want to be no bother, sir. I understand what you mean about thieves and such visiting your premises. Well, I could turn them all away, but how am I to know the thieves from the honest ones? Well, I can't turn them all away, can I? Oh, it's me living, after all.
What do you suggest I do, Mrs. Gamboulet?
Well, I could take other premises to carry on my business. Of course, I'd be out of pocket.
Would then sovereigns help?
£150.
Well, gentlemen cannot live on air.
Where has it all gone? Oh, no, don't tell me. New suits, dining out, all your past debts.
Paid, all paid. Last I can hold up my head again.
What am I to do with him?
It's his cottage. Was his cottage.
I didn't expect him to foreclose so soon. It's that rogue Callan. He bought up my note and squeezed me dry.
Mr. Callan?
Yes, he's a vengeful man. And who shall blame him?
What on earth possessed you to borrow money that you couldn't pay back?
You seem to do it all the time. But of course I am a gentleman.
That'll be the bailiffs come to take possession.
Don't let them in. Don't let them in.
At least we shall have a roof over our heads.
Oh, good evening. And a nice fine one, eh, Mrs. Onedin?
James, we can't live here.
A roof, I said. That's all.
Till we get a house of our own.
No blankets there to fold. Hello there, laddie. Do you think we'll ever jump the ship again?